What's going on, wrestling fans? Welcome into another edition of Near Falls with D Hall, a wrestling podcast. Today, it is my favorite episode of the year, my favorite project, the WPIAL Preseason Preview. So pumped up to release this to you guys. Just right off the bat, we're doing it a little bit different than we did last year. Last year, I had them all together on one. It was like 3 hours long. It was a lot. This year, I'm changing it up. Each single team is going to have their own little video, their own little episode of the pod. So you won't have to sift through all the other stuff. Super excited for that. We talked to all these different coaches, man. I had 30 guys come on from across AA and AAA, which shattered my goals for this year, which is awesome. So yeah, man, I'm just super excited to release this to you guys. It was a lot of fun. These coaches were open and honest. They had great insight, and for me, man, just to sit down and listen to these guys talk about what they're wrestling, there's not much better in my world. So without further ado, here is the WPIAL Preseason Preview. Thank you, guys. Love Jens. As always, brought to you by Switch Custom Apparel.
Welcome to the Near Falls WPIAL Show, where Dial and Kaz are gonna tell you all the things you wanna know. Whether it's Trinity or Spencer Lee or Mr. Kurt Angle, just ask Vinny D, WPIAL, yeah, Ken and Mac for sure. They got the interviews to soothe your soul, because it's Near Falls in the WPIAL.
Joining me next on the call, we have head coach of Fox Chapel High School, Mr. Michael Frank. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Super pumped up to have you on. First time having someone on from Fox Chapel. So excited.
Yeah, appreciate the opportunity. We love talking about our kids and talking about our program. So I love the platform. I love what you do for WPIAL Wrestling. So super excited about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's get right into it, man. First question I have this year that's a new one, and I love it. Alumni, what's going on? Guys wrestling in college, guys doing big things post high school. What's going on with your alumni group?
Yeah, so we got two guys wrestling in college right now. Eddie Farrell's up at Gannon. He's a senior this year. Wrestled 220 for us for a bunch of years. Super successful in high school. Had to get down a little smaller. 220 is that weird weight when you get up to the college ranks, and he's worked his way down to 197 and is battling for a spot there. And then Ray Worson is sort of a lower middleweight at Pitt Bradford right now. So those are our two wrestling in school. And then the rest of the alumni, going through college and getting into the working field, doing some impressive things. Couple just coming home for Thanksgiving break telling me they're getting into law school now and doing some things like that. Yeah. And they're always the best because they credit wrestling with their success in life, as anybody who's been part of this sport knows that's really the most important thing. So yeah, just excited to see them succeed, whether it be wrestling in college or just chasing any dream they got.
I love that, man. Good stuff. You're buttering me up already, man. Okay, let's move right into it. How's the offseason program going for you guys?
Well, I think we had a pretty good offseason. We got a bunch of multi-sport athletes on our roster, which I love. I mean, I grew up as a multi-sport athlete myself, probably close to a dozen coming off a football season, a couple more coming off a soccer season. So their offseason obviously looks a little different than the other ones who've just been sort of working their way through the room, whether our room or some club rooms in the area, and just getting on the mat, competing, but more so cleaning up some technique type things. And then introducing a whole bunch of new kids into the room too, which we always love. I always give the most credit to the kids who are coming out when they're a high school age kid, never tried the sport before, and they're willing to really put themselves into a totally new arena, which is...
It's so tough, man. You got to strap up a singlet, right? You got to go out in front of people, your family, your friends. It's, you look back on it, like I wrestled in high school, and it's like, it's kind of gangster, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is really, really cool. You look back on it and you definitely wear it with a badge of honor.
Without a doubt. And I credit the kids who they're coming out and they might not ever earn a starting spot, but their goal is just to be in there to improve themselves and to get better, to be part of a good team. And I'm glad I started wrestling when I was super young. So when you have some of those failures, you don't even really know that you're supposed to succeed or you want to succeed. You just go out to have fun. And like you said, you're doing it in front of your friends and your family, and it's brand new to you. I give them all the credit in the world. It's been kind of interesting. We started a girls program this year too. And so it's brand new for them. We have 15 girls in our room, separate girls and boys programs now. A handful of them came out last year and sort of went through our boys practices, but to all those girls, it's brand new. And to like, I don't know, have the guts to go out and try something brand new. In the sport of wrestling, anybody that's been involved in it knows it's just brutal from a physical standpoint and a mental standpoint. So I love the fact we got new kids getting in there, and our off season kind of allowed a lot of them to start working out in the room, learn a little bit before you get into the actual practices. Super excited again this year. We got great numbers. 45 boys in our room right now.
Ooh, let's go. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then another 15 girls on the girls side of things. So we're loving it. I have credit to my middle school program and the coaches down there. They just keep getting kids recruited and involved. And then all the way down to
professional segue, my friend. Let's talk about your coaches. Who's helping you this year?
So at my high school level, John Baxter is in my room. A lot of people might not know John that well, but they remember his son Hunter, who wrestled for Pine Richland and then went and wrestled at Maryland. So John's my top assistant, and luckily now that he's back in the area, his son Hunter is involved in the program coming in. Another assistant, Trevor Hartless, who isn't from the WPIAL area, a little bit outside, but did some wrestling at Edinburgh in college. And was part of that program. So he brings in a whole new idea of, what were the Edinburgh guys like? What was that practice like? My brother, Tim, my younger brother, Tim, he was a WPIAL champ for us at heavyweight at Fox Chapel. He's around from time to time. And then really my father, who was Fox Chapel's head coach for 40 plus years. He's a volunteer assistant for me now. He joined the school board at Fox Chapel, and so he stepped away from the head coaching reins, and he's now my volunteer assistant. So not too many people can claim they have a top 3, top 4 WPIAL wins leader as their assistant coach.
Not a bad one. Not bad.
Not a bad guy to have around. He's been around for a long time and has seen it all.
Yeah, man. I'm sure it's someone that you can just lean on, and I'm sure there's not any situation that he hasn't seen, which is
absolutely
that's awesome.
And the thing I love most about what he does for not just for our program, he's still involved with the WPIAL Wrestling Coaches Association and promoting the sport in any way he can. He's part of the Dapper Dan, the Pittsburgh Wrestling Classic Committee, helping promote those WPIAL and PA kids and top things. And I've learned immensely by watching him and wrestling for him and being a part of it all. So it's a pretty good staff. I love it.
Good stuff indeed. Okay. Seniors, leaders, captains, who are some of the guys that are helping you lead the charge this year?
Yeah, for sure. So 2 seniors really been with me for a long time that are leading it. Josh Alexander, sort of like a middleweight for us. The Alexander brothers, wrestled in the WPIAL for a long time. Dad wrestled studs, right? So it's kind of nice having that lineage and having Josh be there as sort of one of our senior leaders. And Alex Kaufman's the other one. Alex, a little upper middleweight, 52-60-ish in the past couple of years. Just quite honestly, better kids and young men than wrestlers. I mean, studs on the mat. Love coaching them there. But from the student athlete standpoint, from the lead through words, but more importantly, lead by example standpoint, they live that. They've pushed it all off season through the workouts, and it sort of led into the year. So that's super helpful. And then I really only graduated 1 senior starter last year. So a lot of experience coming back.
Nice.
And the nice part is they don't default to, well, those two are the seniors. They have to be the captains. They have to be the leaders.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these guys have been involved in our program since they were kindergarten, first
Right.
grade.
Right.
So even though you're a junior, we don't really go by just because you're a class that's your chance that you get to be the leader. So they take turns and they push each other and they all sort of want to see that success. So I love seeing that. A couple juniors by class, lightweights, Landon Funk and Michael Werson sort of help us start off that lineup down there. And then sort of moving up through junior wise, Milo Chu was just like, I think recently all WPIAL soccer or something like that came into the room, really started to pick it up towards the second half of last year. And then our heavyweights of junior too, D'Angelo Hamilton. D'Angelo,
I love watching him go.
big boy, right? Love
Right.
watching
Yep.
him wrestle. He was a fullback for the team towards the end of the year.
No way.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yep. So, you got your big boy getting the ball out of the backfield, showing his athleticism.
Yes.
D'Angelo came into last season having taken a year off from wrestling. In the first half of the year, there were some growing pains. And then we got into the second half of the year and we started to figure some things out, and just really excited to see him compete again this year.
Good stuff.
So,
good stuff.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay, Coach, next thing I want to get into, obviously you guys host the Allegheny County tournament. That's got to be a highlight on your schedule. But besides that, what's your schedule look like?
Start out early. I don't know if it's the first competition date, but first week of December, we have North Hills, little cross-section matchup. We've done it the past couple years. Good way to get the season started. With kids, we'll see at that individual section tournament towards the end of the year, but not technically on our section schedule. And then we jump right into the dog duels over at Hampton. And love going over there, real close to us. So short little bus ride early in the morning is kind of nice.
Yep.
And get 5 good duels in to start the year. And they run an awesome tournament where you got the dual bracket and that, but they also reserve a mat throughout the day to let all your JV kids go and get as many matches as possible. So for us, that's huge. We're going to go wrestle a dual meet tournament where everybody's going to get mat time, or hopefully everybody gets at least some sort of mat time. And early in the season, we just want to see kids start that progression. We want to see them go out and compete hard. We know there's going to be plenty of things that they need to work on throughout the year, but getting on the mat and competing, I think, is the most important thing. So that's why we always really like that dual meet tournament at the beginning of the year, kind of fire up that team aspect of it too.
Yes, sir.
With, it helps us mesh real quick whenever individual tournaments are awesome, but you kind of lose your sight of your teammates throughout the day because you're so focused on what you're doing. But, you can really rise to the occasion and bring your wrestling up whenever it matters for the team in that moment too.
Yeah, man. I wrestled in the Hampton Dog Duels when I was a junior. I know for senior for sure. And I love that, man. It was exactly what you said. We kind of moved in a pack all day long, and you really learned about each wrestler on the squad, I like the Hampton Dog Duels, get those matches early. And I did not know that they had a JV match, which is huge, man. You just pump out JV matches. That's awesome.
It's great. Those kids get time. And I like a dual meet tournament to be in the year too, because if you got guys trying to figure out things, you can get them 3 matches. They don't have to wrestle all 5. Or if they're getting back from football season or soccer where they're not totally in wrestling shape yet, kind of gives you an opportunity to allow them a couple matches, but they don't have to go deep into a tournament or get into a consolation bracket where now you got to wrestle 5-6 matches. So it's a good start for us.
How about later on in the season? What are some of the individual tournaments? You guys travel at all? What do you get into?
Yeah, this year we're going to travel a little bit. Like you said, counties is a big one for us. Obviously, we host it. It's in our gym. It's a real pride point for us as an organization. Shout out to all of my parents and the volunteers that get on board with that to make it success. Yeah, we have some of the most incredible people. Like you asked about alumni updates. I could update some of their parents more than I could update the alumni because they keep coming back. They'll run our concession stand. they'll be there working a table for 2 days straight just so they can get back and watch high school wrestling again. Just true
That's
fans
unheard of, my friend. That's awesome.
true fans of the sport, and just truly a sense of we're doing the right thing by these kids, that their parents want to come back. And for us, that's we look forward to that. We're going to head down to the Brook Classic this year, a little bit later in the season. Something we haven't done before, but talked to a couple WPIAL coaches who've been going down there. They really liked it. 1-day tournament, not too far down into West Virginia.
What is that date?
I'd have to look that one up.
It's fine. When you're done, send it to me.
Yeah.
I'm not far. I'm in West Allegheny Imperial, so that's like right over the border for me. So yeah, that might be something I can sneak over to.
Yeah, so we heard good things about it. Good competition level. We like to get someplace that might be a little bit out of the same group of WPIAL teams that we see all the time.
Right.
So we're excited to go down and try that one this year. Southmoreland Classic over Christmas break. A couple days after Christmas, we're going to go to that one. We've been going there the past couple of years. Really good tournament.
Yep.
Good
well ran.
Yep. So that a lot of that sort of built into our schedule this year. Tournaments that aren't at such a high level that some kids really can't compete. We like to get someplace where the whole lineup's going to have a chance to compete and wrestle. And really, if you get deep into it, you're definitely going to run into some studs. And that's sort of what we want to see. We want to see you compete against that top tier, but give a chance for every other kid in that lineup to also go and compete and hopefully win some good matches, wrestle some good matches. So looking forward to those.
Absolutely. Okay, next thing I got. Room games. What do you guys get into? Kickball, dodgeball, stickball, handball. I've heard every single variation. Basketball. What do you guys get into?
We get into a lot of dodgeball throughout the year. More so, you got to earn it to get into that. It's funny.
Right.
3 of my own 4 children are now wrestling in our youth program. And so I'm starting to get kids that I coached are now having their kids in our youth program. And with me spending a lot of time there, every time they come back to like, hey, do you remember we used to play this game? Or do you remember we used to play that? Do you play that anymore? And some of them probably needed to go out with the times. They're probably not as appropriate anymore. So we kind of stick with some dodgeball, break it up that way every once in a while.
I love that. Yeah, man.
It's hard when you got guys who want to get in there and just wrestle.
Yep.
You know, trying to convince them that a day off every once in a while or taking it easy every once in a while is probably good for them.
Yeah.
But that's probably the most part of what we're doing now.
I love that. Good stuff. Good stuff.
You probably got me pinned into making sure there's more dodgeball games now, because when they get out there and listen to this, they're gonna say, "We heard you say it and you promised it."
Hey man, I have all these coaches on, but I'm for the wrestlers. For the wrestlers. All the games, baby. Let's go. No, I'm just joking. Okay. Next thing I have, social medias. How can we follow you this year?
Both X,
formerly
Twitter, and Instagram at FCAHS Wrestling. So Fox Chapel Area High School Wrestling. You can find us on both of those. We try and update those as much as possible and hope to be just as good as it this year as we have in the past. I like to keep control of those myself sometimes because I want to make sure what's going out is a good representation of us.
It's tough when you put the school name on it, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I get that for sure.
Yeah. And so sometimes I get too deep into the heart of a match or tournament that I fail a little bit on that end, but we do our best to keep up with them.
No doubt. No doubt. Okay. Last thing I have for you. Anything or anyone you want to shout out before I leave you go?
Honestly, thinking Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow, just expressing thanks for the people in the wrestling community. We have a special group and folks like you that promote the sport and sort of keep putting the name out there for the teams and the individuals and celebrating kids and their success. Because when we look back on it, they're still high school kids, and pumping them up and promoting it. I truly, truly appreciate that. So to all those newspaper writers or, the podcasters or the people keeping up on X and, pumping out all the information, I'm super thankful for that. And then some of the people I mentioned already, I got awesome coaches from high school level all the way down through our youth. Just good wrestling coaches, but just better people. And I think, keeping in mind that we are helping these kids become better young men and women through the sport of wrestling is super important. So I can't do my job without them. And then to my parents and alumni, the ones that, keep believing in us and grinding for us and making opportunities for their kids through wrestling. Just very, very thankful for them and what they do for our team and our sport.
Very good stuff. Thank you so much, Coach Frank. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure I'll see you at one of the tournaments this year.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate you.
See you.